Welcome to Bridging Gaps, the business podcast sharing the challenges and stories of fellow business owners.
Hello and welcome back to Bridging Gaps, the business podcast. I know that there's been a long gap between my last episode and the start of this season, and in a separate episode, I'll talk a little bit about why that was and just share with you some of the ups and downs that were happening with me even before we hit this point in time with the coronavirus pandemic. But in this episode, what I want to share with you is a wonderful webinar. I held it last week with the absolutely amazing Richard Woods and the fearless Robin Waite, and they are there live and in action, answering questions, helping business owners to not be inspired by what they've done in the past, but to get them through the present, to really give them ideas and inspiration to start moving, to not stop. So many of us are finding it really difficult to know what to do, wanting to freeze, and that's what this webinar is about. It's about not freezing. It's about moving and getting your business and you going. I know some of the feedback I had afterwards was around, how inspirational it had been, how helpful. Some people said, it was the kick in that they needed to get themselves moving. So this is the audio from it. They knew it was going to be a podcast. So the one image that we put up at one point, Richard describes in full. So join me and Richard Woods and Robin Waite now for the webinar on transforming your business through COVID-19. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today in these very troubled and unusual times. My name is Deborah Levitt, and I'm from Bridge Road Consultants, and I'm the podcast concierge and podcast launcher. And last Friday morning, I was thinking I need to restart my podcast. And normally I've got people who are telling their stories about how they overcame obstacles and, to get to where they are now. And I thought, well, that's not what we need right now, because we're in this time where none of us have been through this before. None of us have had to deal with this situation. And that what we really need is help to get through it and to get ideas and advice from people who are experienced in business overall. And so that led me to thinking, well, actually, what I need is Richard and Robin, because these guys are doing this all the time. And I know that they're doing it even now as we speak. I know that Robin's been working with his clients to help them look at how they can transform their business, how they can make changes to try and keep everything moving. And Richard is working with his clients at crisis management. And again, how do they make those changes? So within sort of an hour on Friday morning, Richard and Robin had signed up and we'd started pushing this out there. So I'm really delighted to have both Richard Woods, the LEADGEN maestro, and Robin Waite, the fearless business coach, joining me. Hi, guys.
I've never been called a maestro before. I feel like I should be just playing like a symphony or having like an opera.
I'm expecting there to be. I'm not sure if we want you singing or not, Richard. I'm not sure if the beard means it will get a Pavarotti type, sort of performance from you.
He looks more like a Bond villain, though. He needs a cat.
I do like the idea of the cat.
Exactly, my lair.
Excellent. So just for everybody to know, basically what my plan is, because you might be thinking, well, she was thinking about a podcast and this is a webinar. Did she get confused somewhere along the way? Was it really early on Friday morning and she wasn't quite with it? But the plan is that I will take this and it will also be released as a webinar, as a podcast, so that people can play it back and learn from it as well. What we're going to do to begin with is, I can see, a singing maestro from Sheila. I'm just going to put a little poll out for you guys, because we really just want to get a feel for how everybody is feeling at the moment. Because again, while the sun's shining, which would normally make us all bright and happy, we're also in untested waters. So over on the right, you should see a chat window, and on there you can just choose the answer which is most relevant for you. And while you guys are having a little look at that, I just want to check, Sunyana, have you been able to join us yet? Just, sorry, bear with me. My connection basically died immediately before us starting.
The results are interesting coming in at the moment. I can see there that we're looking at the majority at the moment are looking at 3, but it's kind of far more hedged towards 3 than 2 than 1, with one person who's feeling really good at the moment, which is 5. So was that you, Robin?
No. Well, I am feeling a 5. It wasn't me who actually typed it. I'm curious though, who was that person who put 5 in there?
Oh, we've got 2 and 5. Now I've mentioned it, we're all going to be piling into 5, aren't we?
And just to clarify, there was a question that said, assuming 1 is poor and 5 is high. Yes, that is correct. So 1 is, Lena put a 5. Ah, that's interesting. That's so Lena, and Andrew. Sounds like, okay. So we've got some bleak ones as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, just because I can't quite see Sunyana at the moment, so we will start with her in a moment, but we're going to start off with a question that somebody sent in previously. So it's a number of you actually responded to my email and sent some stuff in. So I'm going to start off with Sue K. And Sue is a pet behaviorist and trainer, and she specializes in one-to-one consultations. And the idea of her reinventing herself is really daunting, and she's way out of her comfort zone. And she's been growing this business for over 30 years, and it's very hands-on. And she can't figure out at the moment how she could make this something remote, and how she could maybe, future-proof it as well by maybe coaching or mentoring others. So she's really looking for some help and ideas on what she could do to try and keep her business moving. So do you want to start with you maybe? And look, we've got another pet behaviorist as well. So Robin, do you want to start off with your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. Funny enough, I do know Sue as well, and I do a lot of work with other pet professionals, so dog trainers, behaviorists, and other sort of industries that's in a similar sort of line of work. So I suppose one of the key things is, though, that if you think about it, there's going to be a lot of more people at home who are going to be exposed to their animals like bad behaviors. Plus, they're going to have more time to be able to potentially spend with their pets over the next at least 3 weeks now, to sort of train them and help them out. So I think actually, like a lot of these things, there is a lot of potential opportunity there. The challenge is going to be, are people, Richard's probably got more of a view on this, but are people going to be of the buying mindset at the moment when everybody's worried about their jobs and worried about money and everything's a bit scarce? But I think if people are in the market for dog training, dog behavior work, and the funding is there, they might have a little bit of a wobble, and it's probably going to be more so about kind of doing, I know you can't see people in person, but there may be a version of what you do that you can deliver via, in terms of the consultation, doing that online, showing people how to get Zoom or, WhatsApp video call set up or something like that. And you can still talk them through the process. Might be slightly slower, might be a bit more clunky, but I bet you can talk them through it and still get the same result. So again, for me, it's about you don't need to change wholesale, like lock stock. I think in the sales process, people are going to need a little bit more convincing. So being willing and open to kind of put in, money back guarantees and things like that. Or for example, say, well, look, how about we try this? And if you don't feel you get value out of that, well, let's try it again when we can actually meet physically in 3 months' time. And we'll do that for free. If this doesn't work, we'll do that for free.
And do you think, Robin, is it worth, if you think there's going to be potentially a lull before people are willing to pay somebody to help them with their dogs, that this is the time that Sue should spend on getting those offerings ready?
Potentially, but it's always payment plans.
Mm-hmm.
Richard's itching to.
I can see Richard. Oh, okay. Go on then, Richard.
We've lost your audio, Richard. We've lost your audio.
Yeah.
That's best.
There we go.
Yeah, it was that lunch.
It's probably me going to mute myself sometimes. But this is for a pet behaviorist or anybody that's trying to do some sort of training. This is the most amazing time to launch some products at the start of your funnel. And what Robin's talking about there, which is fantastic, is when you're selling your sales cycle, you're going to be pitching them the big product, the training product, the in-person training product. Maybe they go on a course for 6 months or 3 months or however you sell it. Now's a wonderful, wonderful time to build a big audience and push people into your funnel. So one of the things I was scribbling down now was to create a 5-day challenge that you could do for people because they're at home, they're with their dogs, they're looking for entertainment or something to do. And you could do something like be Crufts ready, and then in brackets or nearly, in 5 days from home. You know, so some sort of tongue in cheek. So be Crufts ready in 5 days from home, the 5-day challenge. And each day you can do a nice little challenge or a little task or something. Maybe Crufts ready is a little bit too far fetched, but something, you know, train your dog in 5 days to roll over, because that's like a hard thing. You know, yes, you can train an old dog new tricks in 5 days from home, even in this crisis. And so you pile people into the 5-day challenge to roll over. And so then everybody kind of joins that challenge. They can join a Facebook group that's just for that challenge. They can upload a video of their dogs like not doing anything on day 1. And then day 2, they do a task, day 3, day 4. So by day 5, their dog's rolling over. And it was like, yeah, I've achieved. You know, I've been able to go from a place of not being able to do something all the way through to success. And I was done. I did so because you became my guide. And because you are my guide, I now trust you. I know that you're good. You've got authority in your space. And I am going to be so ready, as Robin quite rightly says, when this thing comes out of the back of the crisis, to come and pay proper premium products for you. Or best still, if you just do one 5-day challenge online for free, you pile people into that. And then after that, that you can deliver digitally, and then for £99 a month, every single week, you do another 5-day challenge, another 5-day challenge, another 5-day challenge. It means that one, the dog will be able to roll over, it'll be able to do flips, you know, it'll be able to go down the shops and go pick up your food, it'll be able to socially distance itself. How do you get your dog to socially distance itself in 5 days? Love it. So that's the. Do you see how your business could explode? You are currently struggling that you can deliver your services to currently. That's your current business model. And there is always space for that because that's the premium part. But if you add in these products, it will do 2 things. One, your business can grow exponentially without you having to actually physically swap your time for money. And secondly, that premium product, that time for money, you become then gold standard because you've got a following. And so therefore people will pay more to be trained with you. So one, it will help you put your prices up. And 2, it will give you a complete wide expansion of your capacity, and you might never look back. You might become the next online influencer of the doggy world.
You raised such a valid point there, because I think everybody's like racing to like create products and racing to sell them and sell them into the marketplace cheap. And actually that's more destructive than like anything else that you can possibly do right now. So, you know, what Richard's saying there basically is focus on building an audience. So rather than being in this race to the bottom, build an audience so that when the market expands back out, now all of a sudden you've got, you know, a big pond that you can kind of go fishing in at, you know, your justified prices. I know you've done a lot of work still on your pricing. So at the price point which you've managed to get yourself up to, and it's just a matter of kind of just playing the waiting game and being patient. One of the challenges, if we want to go deep on the economics, and guys throw something at me if I'm kind of, about to blow everybody's minds here, but you maybe don't get it. But imagine if we're in a place now where pretty much everybody's at home. We're pretty much all on like 40-50% capacity because we've got our families now to look after. And so you've got all these people who are selling products as cheap as they can and selling more of them. So they've got less capacity to deliver, but they're selling more products. The maths just don't actually economically stand up. And what's also happening there is people are pulling money out of the economy, out of somebody else's pocket to sell £150 online product, when actually, like, it'd be much better if we all just hang on to that money for a little bit longer until everything's in a better shape, and then we can all look after each other much better until 3 months' time. Granted, we still do have to put food on the table, but you need to, I think the key thing from my perspective is, like, again, I'll say it again, focus on audience building, like Richard said, but don't do anything massively different. Don't go out there and spend the next 3 months like building a totally new product, because in 3 months' time, things will be back to normal. And you don't want to have wasted 3 months when you could have actually had an extra 500 or 1,000 people in your Facebook group during that time.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
Excellent. Thank you both very much.
Sorry, Deborah. There was a kind of follow-on question from Vicky in the comments that I just came back on. She said, "Oh, I guess I could do a 5-day challenge for kids as well." So she was kind of taking that idea and rolling with it. 100%. So the reply that I put back to her, because I know that some people will be listening just on audio for this, is that think of the Joe Wicks. I don't know if anybody's doing this Joe Wicks 9 a.m. fitness.
Yeah, we did it.
Oh, Joseph. Oh, Joseph. Oh, he's a. When my wife found out that he lived in Richmond, she was almost like straight down the road. Like, terrible. But yeah, it's great. So 9 a.m. in the morning, our family does it. We've already said that we're kind of doing it. Think about that. He had nearly 1 million people on there. And so he's giving out this free content. It's daily. It engages. We are going to look forward to it. We are all looking for routines. And I'd love to pick up a little bit more about routines later, guys. But think about routines and getting into someone's routines. 9 a.m. Is Joe's half an hour in many households. So can you get into someone else's routine and do something daily that helps them to progress? Yeah, that's why it can work across all sectors. All sectors this can work. So jump in there. Thank you for the question, Vicky.
Yes, and thank you, Vicky, and thank you, Sue. But I have an associated question, which is from Susan. Susan, I loved your company name, which is Laundromat. And Susan is a dog groomer, and she's been building her business over the last 9 months, and was trying to think about what to take online. And I'm a bit unclear whether she's suggesting taking online what she's learned, or whether she's taking online how people could, be grooming their mutts. Sorry, I had to go with mutt. And by the way, guys, I do love Woody, but I did not specifically choose dog questions to begin with.
If anybody knows Deborah, so every meeting I have with Deborah, I keep on getting nudged under the table, and I think it's Deborah, but it's not. It's her dog constantly wanting to have attention. I was complimented at the start, Deborah. I thought it was you, but clearly not.
Yeah, sorry. I've tried to stop him as well, but he thinks.
He's a lovely thing. Bless him.
And most people, if you've spoken to me or heard of me from me at all, you will have heard of Woody. But Richard and Robin, again, is there anything, I guess, that you would add to your previous advice that Susan might want to take into account, or is it very much going down that same path of building that influence?
Do you want to take it, Richard?
Yeah, with dog. I take it this is dog grooming. Is it a physical location or is it a mobile dog grooming?
She doesn't say. Susan, if you're on the call, do you want to just type into the box? Sorry. Oh yes, I can see she's there. I'm getting lots of people now commenting on loving Woody.
So there's just a thing that I'm doing with a lot of my clients at the moment, which are physical clients that have these sort of appointments. I'm doing a but low deposit, cancel anytime offering. So the campaign is that people still may want to have their dogs groomed come May, and so we don't really know what's happening in May. I think we can pretty much write off April. So do a deposit now to secure your slot, cancel anytime. And as Robin says, business as usual. So you're booking in those slots, you get really busy. If we have to then cancel first week of May, you just cancel those people and push them back. But you secure their booking and you just rearrange their booking. So one, you can kind of secure that. But two, definitely fly in there with a kind of groom, how to groom from home type thing. The reason why people get dogs groomed isn't because if they knew how to do it, they would do it. It's because they don't want to do it. Like it's like that, it's like a lot of things, we have a cleaner and, I know how to hoover, but I don't want to do it. So it's kind of like that. So it's one of those things that we all do stuff that is our specialty, and we all do stuff that's our passion, and it's not someone else's passion. And so that's fine. So if you talk about your passion, and that will raise your authority, you keep on raising authority, and even giving away some of these ideas for free. Robin will tell you give away your best information for free when you're trying to sell online courses, because that gets them hooked and then wants them to get in. So
take your shot.
Go for it, Robin.
I was going to say it's all about the book. You see, just give the book away, and people eventually read it after having it on their desk for 3 years, and then lean in. But I think the Joe Wicks example is a great one. But Joe Wicks ties into, to get 1 million people online at one time is absolutely phenomenal. But you've got to look at the different profiles. You've got to understand your audience like really deeply to understand exactly what happened there. And it's actually not that complex. If you think about it, you've got all these kids at home and a load of frustrated parents who are like, we've got to make calls, we've got to cook food, we've got to clean the house, we've got all this other stuff to do. So here, Joe Wicks, go and take care of my kids for half an hour. And it was brilliantly entertaining until my dog came bumbling into the room and knocked over my 3-year-old and made her cry because he got a bit overexcited. But the thing is, we've got somebody in my group as well who does, she does meal prep. So, of course, there's an element of that which can still happen, but also she does cookery classes and live events and things like that. And so that side of her business is completely dried up. She's got a big unit which she cooks out of and things. And actually, she came up with a great idea for a product which was simply to get a bit sexist. I think this could have included dads, but to get mums to cook with their daughters. So, and I was like, well, do it as a cookery hour, like at 4 o'clock, just before tea time. So these hooks and these anchors, which we can drop in to get people showing up regularly. And I said to it, you don't need to, you could, maybe ask for voluntary donations or use Patreon or something like that, to get a few people, generate a bit of money if people want to do it. But actually, you can have an audience of 100 people with only 20 paying. And the other 80 choose maybe not to pay, or maybe they are a bit hard up. But you don't have to monetize everything. I think people are seeing this as a very binary situation. It's like, I've got to have all of the UK buying my stuff or none of them. That's how they see it. Whereas actually for most small business owners, you only need like a select few people just to survive through the next 2 or 3 months. And so I think when you start to kind of just, minimize this problem a little bit, all of a sudden it does start to be a bit easier. So Sue, if you knew that if there was a time of day when your typical audience would be happy to go out and spend some time in the garden with the dog, with their phone up, being shown how to properly groom their dog, would that be just before lunch or just after lunch or something like that? And they know that you're going to be there at 1 o'clock every day doing a 30-minute or 60-minute live to walk them through the process. Eventually what will start happening is maybe the first time you only have a few people, then you get a few more, and people start talking about it. And now you've got this audience, which you can then start to kind of either introduce offers to, or like I said, ask for a bit of support in the meantime, or, hey, when you're ready, when you can afford it, how about I come and do this for you?
And thank you both very much. So I've had 2 questions actually along the same line. So one is just from Nicola, and another one previously from, I think it was Julie, who are both saying, is it okay to keep selling though? And Nicola's actually said, that she's scared to keep selling because she's seen people on LinkedIn being trolled for doing that. So, do we keep selling? What do we do in this situation when everybody's a little bit on edge?
Look, okay. Well, me, I think 100% you've got to keep on running your business. And if you would have expected to make sales this month, then try and run in and carry on. But I wouldn't be doing anything that was too tough or hard closing or anything that wasn't right for people. And I'd be sympathetic of the current environment. The worst thing is where people are just carrying on as if nothing's ever happened. And you've got to shape your marketing. And I think part of that question also mentioned, should she change the landing pages and stuff for the products?
Yes.
So definitely, if you can, and you've got the time to do it now, just shape. Maybe don't change that landing page. Maybe duplicate the landing page and create a new landing page and make that in the crisis. This is our special offer, and that doesn't have to include a discount because we don't have the discount product, but you can say, I'm also adding a special kind of 1 hour Zoom call that would be able to work in for it, or another call. Sorry, my kids are in the garden. This is the new world. This is the new world. I love it. But it's like a 1 hour Zoom call that you could add in maybe as part of the onboarding process or whatever it is. You just shape that product to tip a hat towards the fact that there is a crisis. And then remember, your products are there to help people to be able to do something better, to entertain them, to be able to solve a pain. And if you fundamentally believe in your product, then you should try and help as many people as possible through your products. So that's what I would say. And then if it feels like such a big costly thing, add in a couple of those little challenges stuff, maybe a little small cost product in beforehand, if it makes sense at this time. If you can make a digital piece and a digital flow, it's an amazing time to be able to do that now.
And you have to remember as well, again, talking about supply and demand, if capacity's decreased because we don't have as much time now, because we haven't spent more time with our family, most of us, then I think somebody online said, well, you should push your prices up if that's the case. I was like, well, no, because that's kind of taking advantage of the situation. And in fact, Nick's asked, I guess, a bit of a similar question in the thread. So he's doing some work with via GCHQ and the NCSC. I don't know what that stands for, but it's based around cybersecurity. And he said, well, how should I pitch it in the current climate without it coming across as scaremongering? Which is kind of it's a similar-ish sort of question. And I think you need to get out there and start to raise awareness. So, this is a process of actually, rather than putting your product out and saying, here's all the 10 reasons why you should be really scared about working from home right now, because your computer's going to hack and your internet's less secure than work. Actually, you could just do it simply, which is, at testing times, everybody's working from home. Here's 10 ways that you can make your laptop more secure. And so it comes in it from it. It's a very subtle difference, but it, like Richard said, and Richard helped me out with a bit of copy towards the end of last week as well for something I was writing. Giving a nod to the current climate is super, super important because it shows that you have empathy and you understand people's circumstances. But you can't be afraid to get that message out there because actually it's more dangerous, especially in Nick's case, not to get that message out there.
Can I ask you a follow-on question on that, Robin? So Jo in the notes here has said that that she is the sugar woman, and she had 24 speaking events booked in, plus the Truth About Sugar workshops in business. And she's wondering how to still tap into the same audience as all of them have obviously been cancelled. So you've recently, and you just alluded to it, you had an event that you've had to cancel, but you haven't cancelled it. You pivoted it. How did you do that?
Good. Yeah, glad you brought that up, actually. So we had what we do with our group. I've got about 60 members and paid members, and we normally do a face-to-face meetup once a quarter. So obviously April's one we had to cancel. Well, not cancel, but work out a different way. And I made the decision quite early on when I saw how things were unfolding. And what we did is I put it out to the group and I said, look, would you feel that you'd get any less value out of this if I did it online? And they said, absolutely not. If anything, more people can actually access it because I've got clients dotted not just in the UK, but everywhere around the world. So more people can actually get onto it. We've been able to get a couple of guest speakers involved as well, which we probably otherwise wouldn't necessarily be able to invite along. One of them's from South Africa and he's great. And then I thought, well, if we're doing it online, wouldn't it be, because I have a lot of people who are kind of like, they want to look inside, the inner sanctum to see kind of how it works, but they haven't quite crossed that bridge yet. So I said, well, look, we'll just open it up to guests. So we're making, we have limited the number, which sounds daft because it's online, but it's more so because of, if we have a Q&A session like this, if you have too many people, it just gets too overwhelming. So we kind of limited the numbers, but yeah, we've got some paying guests coming, which I think is fantastic. And they get to get access to some of the content, which we do reserve just for the Fearless crew. But they also get, it's like a bit of a try before you buy. And it kind of is a win-win for everybody, really.
Well, what I like about that, there's a couple of things that hopefully the audience might be able to take away. What I love about it is that, one, you are helping out your current client base by putting on the event still. So you're still fulfilling the kind of product that they brought. But the second piece is then you're also bringing in other people as paid guests to be able to then make that live event, that online kind of digital event, also even another kind of lead generator, but it's a product. It's helping to sell the services and to actually help your audience to be able to do more. So you can try and think about how do you actually, if you're doing stuff already with your current cluster base, can you then add in new people and then make that into a product?
Yeah, and I was kind of split between, do I give this away for free or not? That was a very tough choice because I could have probably had a lot more guests coming in if it was free. But equally in this case, kind of what the thing which did it for me is my client base is still paying me. So it made sense. It wasn't fair on them if they're paying me to then let guests in for free. So it kind of made sense that I had to charge for it. So you're going to have all of these sorts of questions that you've got to kind of work through, ask Richard, ask Deborah, ask me. When you're trying to work out, well, what does that product look like? How much do I charge for it? How do I market it? And things like that. And again, similar, like Joe asked, the 5-day challenges you mentioned, Richard, are those free or paid?
So it's entirely down to what you want to do with a 5-day challenge. And if you're going out and you haven't put something together like this before, I would certainly go out for free and use it as a real lead generator, grow your database. Then once they've proven in a 5-day challenge that you've got authority and that you solved the pain for them, then you can maybe upsell them to additional challenges or membership, because then they want to be able to, they could pay £99 per new challenge then after that, because they kind of get it. But definitely what it's going to do is, one, it's going to flood your funnel, get lots of people in there that you can then maybe when the crisis is over, sell them your actual physical dog training product. And that sounds for any of us. Or secondly, you might be able to then think about other digital products to then go and sell to the audience. The one thing that I will say to this, and also talks about your events, and Joan was talking about her sugar events. Try and bring everybody into a Facebook community when you're doing these, because if you bring them into that Facebook community and you help and inform them during this time, Facebook's activity has gone up by 70% since this has happened. So people are in there, and then what you're doing is you're kind of locking in ownership of that community to then be able to use that almost like an email database, but better because you know who they are and you can interact with them, to then go and keep on giving them value, but then upsell them to something later. So think about that. That's an asset, a Facebook community.
And I don't know how long, I was going to say, sorry, Deborah, I don't know how long those events are. Well, if they're short kind of showcases, Dan Priestley's done an amazing thing in his oversubscribed group. He's just kind of made himself available for small little boardroom style size groups of sort of 4 to 8 people. So there's still feels exclusive. And I wonder whether actually, so you get the Facebook group going, but then once you kind of got that audience together, you can still run those speaking events. The challenge is obviously whether you charge for them or not. I think that's another question to ask. But could you run small sort of 4 to 8 person mini events? Just put it out into the group, and as you get 8 people, set up an event. As you get 8 people, set up an event. And so you've still got those, you're still delivering that content at least.
And so that was what I wanted to ask as well. Is I know that Sunyana and probably other people as well are saying, well, how do I run that Facebook group? How do I, make the most of it, free or paid? What should they be doing to build that up now and to get the engagement?
Within the Facebook group?
Yeah.
I think the most important thing is to be a leader in a time of crisis. And so that leadership doesn't mean that you have to have all the answers. It's more like being a guide in this time of crisis. So you go out and you say, right, this is what the government's saying. You could maybe do a live each day. You could do a video each day. You do some sort of comment or ask a question in the group. How's everybody feeling? One of the best things with groups at the moment in terms of engagement is I put a question out that said, what's the one thing that you can do today to make it feel like it's finished on a high? And so then people will be like, oh, okay, this, and then you kind of know what people are actually thinking about and how they can get positivity out of it. So I would just think about these things as tools. That's, if you have a group that you want to put all your prospects into and you want to then help and show leadership and to give them updates. Every time Boris does an update online, you can say, this is what it means for the retirement village community, because that's who you're targeting. Or this is what it means to the dog owner community, because that's who you're targeting. And so you're reflecting that. So everybody goes, well, how does Boris's update actually impact the dog owner community? Well, it does massively, because now the parks, the actual playgrounds are closed, so the parks are going to be a little bit more busy. It's like places where they can go walk to stay self-isolated. You can only go out once a day now, so you've got to be able to time that within your doggy routine and all that sort of stuff. So you can see how Boris's update immediately impacts dogs. Where can you get food from, because everybody's stockpiling dog food? Like, there's a huge commentary about people that are worried about dog-related stuff. There's a huge commentary about retirement village, because what do you do when you own a retirement village? Well, you can't let people in, you can't do this. You see how people are thirsty for information that's right on the money right away. So if you can do a daily post into that group, that can work really well. And then what I would perhaps do is, particularly if you are thinking about something that's a little bit more kind of top level, senior people that you're trying to target, you would then maybe do a weekly Zoom with all the people in that group and do like a peer-to-peer Zoom and say, right, these are for all the kind of owners of tech startup companies, and we're going to go and have a peer-to-peer Zoom and just discuss what the current market's doing and how we're all as a team, a group of peer-to-peer business owners getting over or getting through this crisis. And that can work really well, because by the end of it, who's going to be seen as being the person that's actually really helped the most? It's going to be you. So then you can sell your products and services further to them. So that's what I say. Look, guys, when I'm talking here, I am a lead generator. My life is about sales and marketing. So I don't want you to think that I'm a cool, heartless person that always wants to go and create content so we can go and sell onto it. That's my profession. It's my passion. It's how I help people. And I'm absolutely dogged in my mindset that you help here, and then you assist people, and then they grow with you, and then you sell more to them. That's what business is, and I'm unashamed about that. So please take me at face value.
No, but people are still buying stuff, though. It's not like you just mentioned dog food. Like, yeah, we've got to go and buy dog food. We've got to go and buy supplies. We've got to, there are still things which we need. And I've got one of the coaches on my team works specifically in hospitality. He's just picked up a new hospitality client, which you think everybody's like, well, that's just crumbling. I mean, it's a matter of timing. This particular client had planned maintenance, like downtime in their facility for for like 6 months or something like that. Anyway, so they're like, well, there is no better time for us to be spending money on you right now. Yeah. Yes, their bookings might be down, but they don't actually need the bookings for 6 months. So that particular client's in a fortunate position. And again, humble brag, not so humble brag. I've just had a client pay in full upfront to come on board with Fearless, which is pretty cool. So people are still buying. I think we can kind of, just dipping into the mindset side of things, we can put up barriers and say that there's no money, nobody's buying anything. I might as well just throw my hands up and just do nothing. We shouldn't do that. I think there's an element here. No, we've still got to be resolute. We've still got to wake up every day, and we've still got to do all of the same things that we did in our business yesterday, because they're still relevant. They're still very important. Even if it is, just get into your bookkeeping, get into growing your Facebook group, get into writing content for your blog. There's still all of these things that are so relevant that you can be doing. And we will come out of the other side of this. My prediction is, and I'm not an economist, but my prediction is probably things will be getting back to normal in about 3 to 4 months' time. And I'm fairly confident about that. I don't think I've ever been wrong when I've made predictions for my own business. So I'm fairly confident about that. And you can't make decisions based on the current set of circumstances, because you'll just go down this rabbit hole of doom, basically, the spiral of doom. You have to make a decision based on looking forward 12 months to, imagine you're forward 12 months, looking back now, what decisions did you make to make yourself successful in 12 months time? And I can guarantee it wasn't panicking and having belief systems that people weren't going to buy stuff.
And I think, that's really good advice from both of you. And Richard, everybody is saying never apologize. And I can vouch for the fact that Richard is not heartless. Otherwise, he would just kick Woody aside. But what I'd like to say is, from my experience, I've actually had 2 things this morning where somebody from New Zealand is asking, can we deliver the Zoom webinar that I did this morning for people, because they want it for their clients, and somebody else putting me in touch with a large organization who also needs training on Zoom. So the opportunities are coming in different ways, and also from what, I don't specifically market to New Zealand. I'm happy to talk to people from New Zealand, but again, it's because everybody's looking for things. And I've got a question. I can't see who it was now because I think it's scrolled up, but somebody was saying, well, what about if we've got it, if you've got a specific niche and you're going in and you've got your Facebook group and you're talking about the dogs or whatever it is, but is everything getting kind of crowded now? How do you make yourself, stand out or be different and get away from just being one of a mass of voices?
Go on, Richard, you go.
You can take that one.
Everybody worries about that. Like the thing is, how many people do you really need to have in your group to be able to then start to upsell them into different products and to be able to make an impact? Exactly. It's ludicrous. And also when you're thinking about products and services, so there may be plenty of groups online for dog walking services or whatever your business might be, cybersecurity, whatever it is. But people like to feel that they are getting information from people that are kind of close to them, etc. So when people will think, well, there's only so many cybersecurity Facebook groups that are kind of targeted around London or the UK or whatever it might be, and you start to bring your database and push them into there, your pool of influence, push them into there, and it will start to snowball. Once the group starts to grow, it will then trigger the algorithm. Facebook will then start to show it the people that look like the people that are already in that group, and then they will start to join. And then if you wanted to, you could actually start to push in some Facebook ads to get people into that group. Or better still, I would probably be thinking about pushing some Facebook ads into a landing page that gives them the 5-day challenge for free, or an ebook for free, or a guide for free. And then on the thank you page, say, join our group, and then it pushes them in. So you kind of grow it through lead generation acquisition as well. So there's lots of ways to do it. And remember, people have got lots of different tastes in the mentors that they seek out, and you just might be the right flavor for one or not the right flavor for someone else, and that's cool. So don't ever be afraid of doing that.
There's 1,000 new business books coming onto the marketplace every day. Did you know that? And it's just like, if those people believe that, oh, well, there's already business books out there, I'm not going to bother with this. Like, actually every single one of those business books will have a different message in it. So it's so relevant. There is always useful information in there. There was somebody asked about, Sunyana's actually asked about Facebook ads to promote the scorecard and other ways to get people into the funnel. So interesting fact. Now, I'm going to be careful about how I word this because I don't want everybody to go out and blast a load of money on Facebook ads. But somebody very close to us actually was spending in a region about £150 a day on Facebook ads. As a result of what's going on, they thought, oh, we'll take the cautious approach and reduce their ad spend down to just £50 a day. They got the same number of leads in, third of the price. And that's just because a load of people have pulled themselves out of the marketplace who are, because ads is obviously like on a bidding system. So the more people who are bidding on keywords and things like that, the more expensive it tends to get. So if everybody pulls out of the marketplace, well, all of a sudden the price for ads drops. So they were getting exactly the same number of leads every day as they were at £50. They were getting at £150, which is just ridiculous. So I was saying, being cautious, like, you've still got to go out and test and get the data that's relevant to you. They've been in the ad space for several years, so they know it very well. They know their data. If you're just getting into it, it's going to be different.
Yeah. I mean, it will be. Look, one of the things that I do, and there's a few people on here, which is the 30 leads in 30 days challenge, and that's an online product. It's been around since 2017, but we're seeing a massive increase in the amount of people buying that product at the moment, clearly, because obviously they can work and create these marketing campaigns at home. But in that, we talk about doing Facebook ads, and so the people that have been putting those together, even for their first ads, are finding a lot more traction from it, because we are all 70% of people is a 70% increase of interaction on Facebook at the moment. Those are the official stats that are coming out. The people are there, we can see it, so it's worth doing it. And if people are worried, so there was a question about, will I target old people who aren't on Facebook? Well, my grandmother's 90. And the only way she keeps up to date with us at the moment is via stalking us on Facebook, bless her. And she's now on Instagram, which I love. And I'm obviously the digital guy, but I don't set it up for her. My mum goes over there and sorts it out for her, bless her. So they are there. Now, they're not necessarily there interacting or whatever, but they are there to see the pictures of their grandkids, to keep connected with people. You'll be so surprised. It's one of the highest growing, I think it is the highest growing demographic on Facebook, is that older generation, percentage wise, of growth. And so they will see ads in their feed as they're flowing through that. And it'll be like, new retirement village, or, because the reason why I'm saying that is that we are running ads on Facebook. We're getting caring deals for a client that's doing this caring company, a retirement village company, a downsizing company that we know is part of the LEADGEN Inner Circle. So she's running ads on that, and that's working. You just got to get it right. It doesn't always work, but if you get the right ad, like all these things, then it could be a great time to do it.
The dangerous thing is to
for a second, Robin.
Yeah, go for
so
it.
I'm just conscious of time, and that we've got some other questions as well in some slightly different areas. So if I can jump over it. So one, we've got Chris. Now, Chris, I was hoping could actually join us for a moment, but he's joined by his phone. But Chris is in a slightly different situation where he's actually got a company, he's got employees, and he is looking for, what should he do now? He'd been aiming to take the next step of actually putting in place more systems and processes and various things like that. But now is wondering, well, do I make my employees redundant? Do I put them on furlough? Do I say, okay, I'm just going to pause for a little while and put all of these systems in place so I'm ready to go when people want to, share? So Robin's t-shirt is getting a lot of interest. So what, any advice or suggestions for Chris's situation?
The unfortunate situation. So Chris's business with is in renovating sash windows. So he's got to go out on site. And actually, Chris shared a story with me before we came online. One of his prospective clients he was due to go out to yesterday said, "Oh, by the way, we've had coronavirus, but it's okay, we're better." So you can imagine Chris's response is, well, thanks, but no thanks. I think we'll probably stay away. And that's very hard because in his instance, he's turning away quite a lot of revenue there, or postponing the revenue. That work will come in. We're just postponing it. Also, one of his employees had to self-isolate, and Chris had a very difficult decision to put him onto statutory sick pay after 3 days, because that's what his contract stated. And unfortunately, in a business, especially the construction industry, and doing renovations and repairs for people and things like that, where it does require you to go out on site, I don't envy anybody in those circumstances. In Chris's situation, I think his work now will probably start to come to a halt over the next month or two, or certainly the next 3 weeks whilst we're on lockdown. And what that means is furlough is the only option so far as his staff are concerned. Now, thankfully, I think both of his employees fall within that the £2,500 bandwidth, or 80% of that. So they're going to get paid. It's just a matter of how they get paid. And obviously, there's no real massive sense of insecurity around that. So it's quite a complicated situation. But I think, and again, we're still waiting for the government to actually say, here's where you've got to go to apply to this thing. This is the date when that money's going to come online. This is how you're going to get paid, and those sorts of stuff. So there's so much up in the air at the moment, which is, making life very difficult, not just for Chris, but for tons of people. Yeah,
the uncertainties is hard. And I know a lot of people, that's what's really making life even more stressful, is that they just don't know. And even if the government's saying there will be money, it's like, well, when, and will it be soon enough for me to not have had to make other decisions? So that's great. So I'm going to address this one to you, Richard, just because I gave that one to Robin. I've had a message both from Brian, who is a pianist, and a lot of his time is spent in weddings, playing for weddings, things like that, and events, which obviously is going away. And then also online, we had one from Mandy, and Mandy is a singer. So she's lost basically all of her gigs that involved her going in to sing in person. And they're both looking at, well, how can we do something again online? Because a lot of that income may not come back until, next year, or, whenever. Those events may or may not be repeated in the shorter term. So ideas. Brian was thinking, could he do something like an online piano bar? And somebody in here has actually suggested for Mandy that she could do personalized love. I can't see it now. Personalized love song messages. But just, again, any ideas to help them with what they could do to fill the gap that they're experiencing?
Do you know, I think a lot of those ideas, like personalized love messages or an online piano bar, they're what I would call in the category of nice and kind of brand raising and a bit of fun. I don't feel good money making kind of schemes, if you like. I'm sure there are people that might be making lots of money doing that, but to do that from a standing start to lots of money is going to take you longer than sort of 2 to 3 months that we've got ahead of us. So what would I be doing? I would be developing out my website, my landing pages, my offerings, and I would be double downing on the book now, 100%, book now, small deposit, 100% cancellation policy. And I would be piling into May, I'd be piling into June, July, I'd be booking out the rest of my year, knowing that this is literally, if you're self-employed, think about this as you just took yourself out of the business for a 2-month trip around Thailand to go look at waterfalls and discover yourself and all that sort of weird stuff. And so that's what can happen, so just think about that. Like you just had a 2 months out. So I'd be taking your current bookings and never let anybody cancel if you can do. Get them to rearrange later in the year. No, and there's no tie-in and no rearrange fee. And then tell them that they can still cancel the rearrangement if they need to. So I'd be doing that, and I'd be creating a lot of content on my site, maybe those videos and stuff that you're creating, sticking them in as blogs, etc. But I would be very much putting together search engine optimized landing pages for each kind of location. So if someone's typing in, pianist in Bradford, if you cover that, I know Brian actually is more London. So pianist in Chiswick, or pianist to hire in Chiswick. And I would be creating landing pages around there with some content around there. This is an old school SEO strategy that we are still seeing works. Look, people say, oh, it's Black Cat and the rest of it. I'm still seeing results from it. And as long as the content is unique to that page that talks about why you're the best pianist to hire in Chiswick and a video of you doing it. That's the other thing. I'd be building out that YouTube channel. So if you're both
massively
watchable things, I'd be doing fun YouTube things. One of the things that Brian sent to me, which is really great, and actually, Brian, I think you should go for this. He sent a picture of who's the guy for Take That? That's not Robbie Williams, the other one. I know that was
Gary Barlow.
Barlow, there you go. I was like, not Williams or the orange one, but Barlow, and I can't remember the other. So you tell that I wasn't going to take that back. So Barlow is doing these videos where he's doing little sort of mini concerts with another famous person, and they're getting great amounts of views upon things like TikTok and other Instagram, etc. So he's putting content out and keeping his audience warm. You could be putting great bits of content out about, if you are a corporate events company, this is the type of piano I play. If you are a venue and you just want background ambience in a lobby, this is the type of stuff I play. If you are a wedding, this is the type of stuff I play. And so you just have these great bits of content, get them on the YouTube. You then link from that YouTube description back into the page that you created for that, and it just creates that huge SEO story. And that's what I would do. Make the asset now that will pay off over time.
You're an absolute mind reader. I got I had a speaking gig cancelled in April, so it's going to be massive. It's the Global Excel Summit, and I'm super excited about it. Down in London at Olympia for 2 days, and it's obviously not cancelled. It's been postponed until September. first thing I did when I moved that date was drop in a day for smashing out YouTube videos.
Yeah.
I was like 10 videos done, optimized, off it goes. Double down on my Google My Business listing to make sure that that's like highly optimized. Who haven't I asked for reviews yet on my Google My Business listing, my Facebook page, my Amazon, like all over the place. So it's like there is a ton of stuff that you can be doing now, so that then when people do proactively start searching again, and it will happen, might be sooner than we think, but when they start searching immediately, it's your brand, your products, your face, which kind of starts to appear up in front of everybody. Because, all of the other people who are ignoring doing that now to kind of, fight over the scraps to sell, cheap DIY and whatever stuff out there, they won't be doing this stuff. They won't be focusing on building their audience. So it gives you a massive head start. And then, all of a sudden they'll be looking at, the people who have spent the time doing the YouTube channels, the Google My Business, getting the reviews and things like that, going, why are they so successful? How did they manage to come out of this, really well off? And it'd be like, well, because we didn't do that. We did this instead.
And Robin, you really need to be telling them they need to get their podcasts out there as well. Not that I'm biased at all.
I know an amazing podcast person. Her name's Deborah. And anyway, so the final bit on that is timing, right? So everybody's been thinking, I've lost this income. Well, if I'm a bride, if I'm a bride again, no, I made joke. I was never a bride. if I was a bride, I want to get married this year. If you just cancelled my May wedding, I'm not waiting till next year to get married. I've been in like wedding planning. I probably even have already got the dress, right? Because this the plug's been pulled on it early. So I'm going to get married this year. So you're going to see a huge condensation of events and corporate stuff, conferences, weddings, all coming in at the same time. So the winter wedding business is going to be huge, where it hasn't necessarily dropped. You're going to have lots and lots of events. So I would argue that probably, maybe 80-90% of the events that were cancelled will still run this year, which makes it a massive, massive year at the end of this year for you. Hence why don't worry about the loss of income now, because it will come back. Just smash through the content so you get those pre-bookings now. And if you can take pre-booking, so it's completely pressure off. Janie and Craig Waterfall. Janine, what am I talking about? Janine and Craig Waterfall from Waterfall Weddings, who are a wedding photography photo booth, who are part of the LEADGEN in a Circle. They are still taking bookings now for people planning events at the end of the year, and even planning events for the summer now.
The thing as well to remember is it's all relative. Like, I think people are looking at this like, I was making 10 grand before it all kicked off, and now I'm making nothing, and I've got to replace the 10 grand. And they've set this massive, insurmountable goal for themselves, at a time when it's difficult. I was chatting to a client who's also in events, and he runs I did post about this the other day, but he runs the little tricycles with, sweets on it, and he does fish and chips and various other things like that. And he's got 8 of them, and they go out to all sorts of different events. And actually, when we started to break down the numbers, we worked out that if he focused on taking deposits for the next 3 months, he needed to take 2 deposits of £750 each a month in order just to get by over the next 3 months. And actually, when and he was pushing his business from 10 up to 20, that was the goal. And he kind of felt like he was saying goodbye to the 20. It was never going to happen, and this, that, and the other. And I was like, look, 3 months. Let's just survive for 3 months. What's the bare minimum we've got to do to survive? And I said, two deposits, 750 quid. One, he came back and said, oh my God, that's actually easier than I thought it would be. And 2, he actually got a deposit that evening. So anybody who is in that service sector space, events specifically, and this is relevant to Chris as well with his Sash windows, he can still be sending out quotes, albeit with a caveat: when I get on site, if we find extra issues, we might have to charge, there might be an extra charge for it, because it's quite complex what he does. But he can still be taking deposits for work now that he's then booking 4, 5, 10 months down the line when that market expands.
Excellent. Thank you. So I'm going to go to another question. So this is actually from Anne Marie, and she delivers mental health and well-being training, which she normally does in groups, which have obviously therefore been canceled, and has been thinking about, well, should she do some of the lunch and learn sessions online? But she doesn't know where to start, how to set up, how to advertise, invite, send links, and all of that. And well, Richard, I was actually wondering if a good place to start was your Get More Leads group or the 30 Leads in 30 Days, or if she needs to, if that would be an ideal start point, because you tend to talk about most of those things. Sorry?
Which industry sector?
Health and well-being.
Health and well-being. And so the lunch and learn sessions, who was it? Was it someone that I know?
Anne Marie.
Anne Marie. So essentially, with if you are needing to go out there and actually start to build an audience and start to grow what you do, now's a great time to do it. So if you were doing these lunch and learn sessions and then that was giving you clients, then why don't you still do your lunch and learn sessions? Why can't you? We talked about Joe Wicks having his 9 o'clock fitness session now. And I alluded to the fact that I wanted to talk about routines. And everybody's getting to routine. And there's a beautiful thing that you're saying. Can we share a screen? Is there am I allowed to share a screen?
Yeah.
Here?
You see the little black circle down at the bottom with two, it's right next to your webcam one. So you can see and it's got a line through it. Yep, just click onto that.
Okay. Right, good. Hopefully this will help. And I'm going to talk it through for your online, for your audio listeners.
Thank you, Richard.
Are we all seeing like a lovely rota for the day, like a kind of a color?
Yep.
Right, good. So there is a thing that's going along the line that's trending at the moment, whereas lots of people are putting up their daily schedules for the kids. So it's kind of like a real big trend. Everybody's like, oh, look at this. And you see, here's one that I picked out that I just particularly love because it's just over-engineered. And you can see here that there's wake up, breakfast, play, TV, schoolwork, dinner time. You get stars if you don't fight, or whatever. You can collect stars. You get, helping mummy with one chore a day. So all of the great parents. What it means is everybody's starting to think about routines, and their routines have changed. So I'm going to stop sharing now. And so hopefully that kind of show people what I'm discussing. So everybody's doing this. It's like a trend. It's trending at the moment to share your kids at home schedule, and I love it. But why does it take us, everybody's laughing on the chat, why did it take us so much time to think about our lives in these little time blocks and schedules? Why, when we actually think about our own businesses, are we absolutely firefighting, we're going mental, we don't think about working departmentalized on our lives, and we should be making time to be able to do each bit. So in this crazy world that we're in now, and I know that a lot of us have to still work on do kids, etc. And I know, Robin, you've worked out time blocks with your wife, and I'm doing the same in terms of who's got. Yeah, here you go. See, so it's not colourful enough for me, Robin. I want to in.
And this bit irks me. I made a mistake.
Okay.
You need to get the kids to it.
Do you get gold stars? That's what. So the point being is, why did it take us so long to think of our lives like this? And so if we then come out of this with a really good routine, and I always talk to people about making time for their lead gen hour, the 1 hour a day that they do their lead generation. So if they do that, they'll have 20 hours of work in a month that will give them a huge upsurge in inquiries because they've built out lead generation funnels, etc. Hence why I put together the 30 Leads in 30 Days challenge. It gives them what they should do in that hour. But the point being is, after 30 days, you'll develop a habit, and then you'll have a lead generation habit. So then every single month following that, hopefully you're doing something to grow your business. That concept, you should take, Anne-Marie, and think about that as the lunch and learn. So every hour that you should put together a little slot and learn, and they think about their health, their well-being, think about themselves. Maybe you add a little meditation in there because everybody's trying to think about meditation. You add a bit of nutrition. You maybe have like 4 different sections or 5 different sections, one for each day of the week or whatever it is. And you just try and get into their routine. I'm going to say that one more time, get into their routine and own that echelon of your customer's day. If you can do that, like Joe Wicks has done for my routine, and hopefully I've done for a lot of my clients who I know go in and start to think about their lead gen hour every day, it means that you are consistent in their lives. And if you do that, then it makes habit for them, so they improve it, but they also, you are part of their habit, and therefore you have longevity within there. So can you become habit for your customers?
So, guys, I'm conscious of time, and I know we haven't quite got to all of the questions. And I can see people needing to drop off as well, though, as I see the numbers going down slightly. So up to you. Do we want to stay on for another few minutes and answer another couple, or do you guys need to dash as well?
It's because I was rabbiting on about routines, wasn't I? That was it. Like everybody's like, he's showing us crayons and colouring in. I'm out.
To be honest, I think it was Robin's one where they were just upset that it didn't have any color about it.
Oh, goodness. Oh, no, I feel bad.
Sorry, Robin.
Well, don't worry, I'll fix it. I'll create a new schedule.
Well, why don't you throw a hellmaker of a question at us, and we can close on that? What do you reckon?
Oh, I don't know if it's a hellmaker of one, but I've got one. So from Gary, who provides therapeutic solutions for PTSD, trauma, stress, and anxiety. And the clients he had declined support via Zoom. So is there any advice we can give that would help him to plan ahead in other ways? And he says he's new to all of this as well. So they don't want to talk to him on Zoom. They're obviously people who are traumatized already. Any ideas there?
Yeah, the challenge is, I suppose, are they existing clients? Are they already paying money and now they're cancelling? Or that's the one thing which I probably need to clarify before I give a full answer. But my thought is, if they need this help and it's not like they can go outside to get it, this is the only other opportunity. And it sounds to me as if there might be something in the messaging or the sales side of things, which is, hey, no, you need this help, and this is the only way we can deliver it right now. When we come out of the other end of this, well, we can talk about face-to-face again. And it's assuming that position of leadership to, like, I fight aggressively. If I feel it's in the best interests of a client or a prospect, I will fight aggressively, for example, to get them onto my program come hell or high water, because it is the best possible outcome from that for them, to do that. Imagine a scenario whereby, if I, as a business coach, let a client go and they go to a business coach who is not as good as I am, because I'm fucking awesome. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear.
You're fearless as well.
I am brilliant. I'm the best coach out. And if I let them go to somebody else, and I'm not pointing at Richard, by the way, I don't know if anybody has a screen. I'll point over here. Yeah. But there's a danger that if I let them go, they go to somebody else and they get a substandard quality of service and they don't have the best of their business. So Gary, in your essence, you need to be really fighting quite hard in order to give, because I bet you're a brilliant therapist. Like, these people need your help and it's within their best interest. Get them onto a Zoom come hell or high water. And again, I think Richard's mentioned it. I've mentioned it before. If what it takes is a convincer at the end of it, where, just to say, look, if we do this session and you don't feel you got value, I'll just hit the refund key. You have your money back, because, I don't want to be taking your money unnecessarily. So that's going to be, any of you can benefit from giving that message out to your clients.
Yeah.
And Robin, just to answer, Gary said that some are existing clients, but some are new as well.
Yeah, I feel that probably they're using it as an excuse, maybe to try and kind of wheedle their way out of payments, but that's not within their best interest. And that sounds really harsh, but you've got to find ways of keeping them. And if that money back guarantee is the way to do it, and we pick things up in 3 months, fine. But really, you need to keep those clients for them, not for you.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Richard.
Yeah. It's that by hook or by crook. I think when you say to people, well, it will continue by Zoom, they'll say, oh no, I'll cancel because I want to do it in person, and then gone. They don't actually know what they cancel. They haven't got the tangible, I had a Zoom session, and actually a lot of people are saying that to me. Oh, actually, this is really good. Maybe we can do this more often. I know with my one-to-one clients that I'd have, where I'd spend half a day with them, we've actually flipped up the model, and we're doing an hour every week. So it's like a check-in. Instead of half a day, it's an hour every week to then keep the momentum going, and that's via Zoom. So That was more palatable, more manageable. We got more done, and they liked that format. And of course, when I said to them, look, we'll do the switch, and like Robin said, if they don't like it, then we'll just we'll part ways. It's no problem. And of course, we do one or two, and then bam, they're hooked, and they're getting the value. This is the point. They're getting the value. If you're PSD, these any sort of issues and all this stuff happening, the army's about to go into London and all the rest of it, and if they're worried about that, this could be the most important time for them to be working for you. So with you. So
yeah. And to add, just hit this home, Gary, start building an audience of people who fit in that niche, who you can serve, not necessarily today, but at some point in the future. If you've got that extra capacity that's been released now, make the most of it and start to help people. Find ways of helping people for free now to start to build that audience. And then maybe you can look to, it might be that actually there is a world of people out there who are just crying out to have therapy by Zoom. And it's just a matter of you had those clients over there who didn't like Zoom, fine. But actually now you can build a group of clients who do. So this might be, again, there might be some really good stuff which potentially comes out the back end of this disaster as well.
That is excellent. So thank you both very much. And just before I get you to wrap up, but just to say, well done, Anne-Marie, for taking really quick action. She's now got some people saying, yes, they're interested in Zoom Lunch and Learn. So we haven't even finished the call yet.
Right. Anne-Marie should be focusing more on what we're saying.
Yeah, sorry, Anne-Marie, slap wrist.
Running around closing these deals. Can't believe it.
So, Robin, any final words to say, just to wrap up, kind of final words of encouragement or inspiration, not to put you under any pressure or anything? But
what I want to, I was going to come back to the poll which we started with actually. So if you're on a scale of 1 to 5, how are you feeling now about your business? I'm hoping that what we'll see is, maybe on average, a slight increase on it. That would be nice to see. So maybe just pop it into the chat if the poll's not up there.
Okay, let me do that because I
think you said going from a 1 to a 3. So there we go. So
there's some, there's a few more.
3 to 4.
Ooh.
It's nice because I think that's the thing. I think we can kind of my one sage piece of advice is don't listen to the news so much, and don't read the news because we all know the situation. We all know we're locked down for 3 weeks now. And I think if you just carry on watching it, you'll just end up in this rabbit hole of cycle of doom sort of thing, which you just need to extract yourself out of that. Focus on your family, focus on your business and building those audience. And I think actually if you do that right and do that well consistently over the next 3 months, you'll come out of this with a much stronger business than actually you went into it with.
Thank you, Robin. And Richard.
Yeah, can I say, Robin, nailing it today, mate. There's some awesome advice. So thank you, and thank you, Deborah, for organising this. Look, guys, the world's looking for people to show them the way, to guide them through this difficult time, and we are all thirsty for information, and we're also thirsty to have a break from the awful information. So if you can start to put out this, if you can get into a habit of daily content, thought leadership, getting inside your audience and helping to be that leader that they're all looking for,
gratitude,
you will come out of it. Yeah, exactly. And it's just vital that we don't crumble. We owe it to ourselves for all the hard work that we put into our businesses up until this time to not crumble when the chips are down, to actually dig in and lean in and not work around hearsay and concern and worry. The only thing that you can control is your output. So increase your output, increase your positivity. There's people that are just saying, oh, we're not going to be doing any work this year, all the rest of it. I don't think we need that as leaders in our industry. I think that we all need to be talking. I love the fact that Robin's saying he's certain that the business is going back in 3 months. I'm almost more bolshy than that. I've still got my events booked for the end of May, hoping that I don't have to cancel. I will have to. It's a case of really leaning in and being that voice and owning this conversation, and you can do it. And if we all pull together, we will actually not have such a disaster that I think the media is trying to hype up.
Yeah.
Thank you both very much, both for the wonderful advice, the wonderful words of wisdom, and for taking the time to join me. For everybody else, and I know we've lost a number of people because we're a bit over the 3 o'clock, but I will send out an email to you with contact details for all of us so you can find us if you haven't already found us previously. And I will also let you know when the podcast comes out. It may very well, I'll probably split it up into a few segments so that you can just, listen to all of them and have more time to enjoy us again. So thank you all very much and have a great day, and hope to catch up with some of you soon. See you later.
Bye.
Cheerio.
Bye. I hope that you found this as useful, interesting, and inspirational as I know I did. Both Robin and Richard are just full of great ideas, practical suggestions, giving you ways to really get your business moving, even whilst you're having to potentially pivot and change how you thought you were going to be working this year. Next week's episode will be a recording of the webinar with Penny Power. Penny joins Richard and I to, again, give some more advice, to talk to people. We talk a little bit about making decisions in a period where there is so much uncertainty and really trying to get yourself moving. We look at ideas for lead generation and, again, just lots and lots of optimism and inspiration for you. If you'd like to attend one of the webinars, then just drop me an email and I will send you the join links. We're running them every week for the time being. Different special guests who are joining Richard and I to really just to give you some more ideas, some more inspiration, and loads of energy. If you are interested in starting your own podcast, either get in touch with me directly. My email is in the show notes. Or alternatively, sign up to the 5-day podcast challenge. The 5-day challenge is completely free and it tells you everything you need to be able to start and launch your own podcast. Again, details in the show notes. You'll also find information on Richard Woods and his 30 Leads in 30 Days package, and links through to Robin Waite's Confidently Charge More Facebook group. Looking forward to seeing you next week. Take care, stay safe, stay distant, and we'll talk to you soon.
You've been listening to Deborah Levitt on Bridging Gaps, the business podcast.